The purpose of this documentary is to expose what occurred here. There are several books, there are several theories, there are some excellent articles which look at factors, just individual factors, mortgage-backed securities, credit default swaps, derivatives, greed, AIG, etc. What hasn't been viewed, and why we decided to go forward with this, is that the real agenda here has not been exposed. The real people behind the scenes and the real agenda has not been exposed. As we say in the book, and as we will say in the film, the purpose of the financial crisis was very specific. It was to take down the United States and the United States dollar, the US dollar, as the stable datum in international finance. And in the midst of the confusion and the chaos created by taking them down, to replace them with what's called a GMA, a global monetary authority. This term was used by the then president of the US Federal Reserve Bank of New York. When I say then president, this was in March of 2008. That was Timothy Geithner, who happens to currently be the US Secretary of the Treasury. And he called for a global monetary authority back in March, which is what sounded the alarm bells for me, because I had been following international financial organizations for years. And when the president of the New York Fed came out and said, you know, we need a global monetary authority, I went, okay, here it comes. And I started researching and writing, and you can see this thing roll out. You can see it roll out. You can watch them take down the US. You can watch them take down the US dollar. Now, when I started researching and writing about this, the dollar, while it was having some trouble, actually the dollar was doing well at that time. It has now become a doormat on international currency markets. And China and Russia and now the International Monetary Fund have all called for replacing the dollar as the world reserve currency. So those predictions, which, you know, didn't take a great deal of prescience, if you actually looked at the situation, have come about. Not only has the dollar, it's not formally replaced yet, but it's definitely going that way. Central banks normally carry about 63% of their reserves in US dollars. The last quarter it was 37%. And all you have to do is read the financial press to see this thing moving forward. The International Monetary Fund called for an international currency called the SDR. SDR stands for Special Drawing Rights, which is a made-up currency. This is kind of just a phantom currency made up by the International Monetary Fund. Well, actually, I say made up by the International Monetary Fund, but in our book, and as we will show in the film, the SDR actually wasn't made up by the International Monetary Fund. A secret document recently released by the CIA shows that the CIA created the SDR in 1969. And that currency has lain dormant for 40 years. A couple of weeks ago, the International Monetary Fund announced that they were going to start using this as the international currency, the international reserve currency, the currency of the world. People talking about, conspiracy theorists talking about, okay, here comes a world currency. Here it comes. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is occurring as we speak. So the purpose of the documentary is to pull back the curtain and expose what's really going on, so that people are not just focused on Goldman Sachs or just on Wall Street. Not that they weren't players, because they were, but they're mezzanine level players. These aren't the people pulling the puppet strings.